Hi everyone, welcome to Grow Roots. This is Shannon and it is crunch time here in North Texas. It is the beginning of February and we have had 7 to 10 days of what we call false spring, where temperatures have been amazing. They've been in the 70s, even the 80s today. We have a cold front moving through right now though, and so this next week is going to get colder, temperatures in the 40s as highs, or maybe 50s, but lows in the 30s, and maybe even one night where it gets down to 26. So with that being said, it is still go time in terms of pruning things, the late winter, early spring pruning, and that means it's time to prune this Limelight Hydrangea that I have in a container here. So I've told y'all, if you have followed me before, that my plan was to train this Limelight Hydrangea into a standard this year. This is only 2 years old. It's gone through 2 growing seasons, but one of those growing seasons it was a cutting and growing roots, and then last growing season it was growing in there and growing beautifully, and it's awesome. It's an amazing Limelight Hydrangea, except that it has one stem in the very middle, if you can see it right here. It's hard to point. But anyway, that would be absolutely perfect to train it into a standard, and it's actually pretty tall. It's all the way up here ish, so it's perfect for a standard, and I can show you guys how to do that. You can see it through the season, how it grows and stuff. But when I see how beautiful this is, and it's budding out, or it's starting to get those little leaf nodes and buds, new growth will be here probably any day. I'm like so tempted to just leave it as its own, because it's going to be such a beautiful plant. So I'm on the fence, but I have decided to go ahead and do the standard. This year won't look so pretty. It's gonna actually, I'm only gonna allow about 4 branches to branch out and bloom, as opposed to, like, you see this is gorgeous. I could have an amazingly gorgeous specimen this year, but I'm gonna sacrifice that, and I'm gonna look ahead towards what will be for this, and it will be absolutely beautiful in this spot in the center of my perennial garden as a standard tree formed hydrangea. So let me show you what I'm gonna do in order to accomplish that. Okay, so like I said, right now is the time to prune this Limelight Hydrangea, late winter, early spring. Anytime between now and the time that you see new growth. You don't want to go too much further past when the new growth starts to come out. This will bloom on all of that new growth, so I'm not worried about cutting off any of the spring blooms or anything like that. It's not that type of hydrangea. It's a panicle hydrangea, so it blooms on new growth. You could cut these guys back pretty far. They'd probably still be fine, but you can see all of this is budding up. So everywhere that you see these leaf nodes, these 2 little buds on each leaf node, that's going to be a new branch here pretty soon, and all of this is going to get cut off. This is the stem that I was talking about. It's probably a good 3 feet tall, and again, all of those have nice little buds forming along those. And the first season that you're creating a tree form or standard hydrangea, you just got to knock all of the other growth back, and you got to focus on this one central stem. So it's not as spindly, honestly, as my first Limelight standard that I formed. It's a really strong stem, and this will get wider and stronger as the years go by, and it will become a trunk. And so what I'm going to end up doing, so if you look at this is the top 2 leaf nodes, but honestly they don't look great. I'm going to see, but I don't think that these are going to have new growth on it. I think the tallest new growth is going to be right here. And so the only thing that I'm going to allow to form branches is this node right here that's going to have 2 branches, and this node right here that's going to have 2 branches. I want 4 branches. If you can see, these are pointing to a certain direction, and then these are pointing a different direction. So that will be perfect. I'll have 4. Those will become the base branches for my tree that all of the other branches will come up from. And so I'm only going to have 4 branches this year, 4 blooms, 4 branches. That's going to be it. And then everything that comes out, you know, from there down, I'm going to be just picking it off all season long. And then every other branch down here, I'm cutting at the base. I'm gonna cut it off. It pains me to do that, but you know, I will be thankful in next year and the years to come. So it's just kind of a sacrifice year. When you're training something to be tree form or standard, you're gonna have a sacrifice year where it's just not gonna be super great. I just wanted to point out, you can see a couple of seedlings, I think 3. I have 3 seedlings popping up. Those are bluebonnets. I put some bluebonnet seeds in there, and sure enough, there they are. That's so exciting. I'm gonna love that. So at least it'll have bluebonnets at the base. That'll be interesting. But yeah, like this one is killing me. This is such a strong branch, but it is not straight up. So that's why I didn't pick this branch, and it's not very tall as well. And so that branch is gonna get cut down. All of these other branches will be cut down to the base, and all I will have is this strong central stem, because it is absolutely perfect for starting a tree form hydrangea. Okay, so that was super quick, super easy, kind of makes my heart sink to cut off all of that beautiful growth, but I just kind of wanted to show you a close-up. I cut them right down, you know, to the base, and I'm gonna have to be really diligent this growing season. There's gonna be a lot of growth that's gonna try to come up this way, and I just got to pull it. And then there's gonna be growth trying to come up on every leaf node here, and I've got to pull those before they get too big, unless it's the top 2 nodes. So this one and this one I'm going to allow growth from, but anything below that I'm not going to be allowing the growth. The other thing that I'm going to need to do most likely is get a stake to kind of stake it. This is a really strong stem. I'm actually really surprised how straight up and strong it is, but when it gets 4 branches growing on top of it with those huge beautiful panicle flowers, it's going to get heavy. It's going to need to be staked up so that it keeps that like straight up position. But other than that, like, there it is. And I also wanted to show you all what the pieces look like. And so here is one of my cuttings here. Okay, there's the flower. I'm definitely going to cut that off. But one of the things I like to do is I like to propagate my Limelight hydrangeas from these cuttings that I make in late winter, early spring. So how I do that is all of these cuttings, I'm going to get, you know, like this one is one straight piece. It's kind of curvy, so I'm probably going to cut that in half. And then this one is a big branch. So I'm gonna cut all of these little branches off so that they're like straight sticks, right? This one looks like it's damaged. So I don't know. We could still try it, but I'm gonna cut all of the branches off right there. And all of the little branches are gonna be cuttings. I'm gonna put those in a pile on my patio, just right over there, and I'm gonna let them harden off for 2 weeks. I won't touch them. They're gonna be in the cold, they're gonna be in whatever, they're gonna be fine. They just need to harden off for 2 weeks. And then I'll show you, I have a very specific container that I will stick them in. And the reason that it's a very specific container, because this one works for me, y'all. That's why. It has worked for me 3 seasons in a row. It's unbelievable. It's probably only, I need to add more soil to this, but I mean, gosh, it's probably only 6 inches of soil, if that. And I stick the cuttings in there. As a matter of fact, here's an old one that didn't take last year. So I stick them in the soil. Let's see. And this one didn't take, although it looked like it might have started to take and root. No, it's just kind of dead down there. But this is one from last season. This was actually from a little lime hydrangea. And so I just kind of stick them in the soil like so. This one broke. And I just leave it alone all season long. And so here's another one too. So last year I probably put like 12 of these in here, and I had one that rooted itself and became a baby plant, and that is this one right here. So what I did in mid-fall is, it was growing right here. I just took it out, I potted it up in that, and hooked it up to some irrigation. It's its own baby plant. Like, the root system was unbelievable. I'm not exactly sure why it happened in only 1 out of 12 cuttings. It just is what it is. You don't always get success especially when you're propagating cuttings. Like, I'll be honest, the Limelight Hydrangea is one of the only plants I have successfully grown from cuttings, besides like really super easy things like coleus and things like that. But other things I've tried to grow from cuttings, including Hydrangea macrophylla, has not worked. But Limelight hydrangeas, with this method of leaving the cuttings out for 2 weeks, plopping them in the soil, and leaving it completely alone for an entire growing season, whatever roots, and whatever doesn't gets tossed out. But otherwise it would get tossed out anyway, so I might as well make free plants out of it, right? So it's a great thing to do. So when you're pruning that, definitely make sure, if you want to propagate, you can do that, and you can do it easily. Stay tuned, because I have another Limelight hydrangea there that I'm going to go ahead and prune, not into a standard form, but I'll do that while you guys are here if you'd like to watch that too. Okay, so I hope y'all can see these twigs right here. This is a Limelight hydrangea. Again, actually one that I propagated and stuck here because at the time it was a part sun location. This monster guy that's right next to me is a sunshine ligustrum, and it has gotten way overgrown this last growing season. Don't worry, I'm about to prune this guy hard. And I mean, I'm actually gonna cut it way back, but I'm gonna limb it up all the way to here. Like, I'm doing all kinds of things, so stay tuned for that video. But this guy needs more sun than what it's getting. It still survived the last growing season, but it was mostly in the shade. And so panicle hydrangeas, they really like sun. Here in Texas, it's questionable how much sun they really do like. But anyway, I'm gonna normally prune this. I'm not gonna prune this into a standard, but every year you want to give your Limelight hydrangeas a little bit of a prune, because it helps the strength of the plant, the base of the plant becomes stronger, and therefore the growth that comes out of that and the way that it forms itself is a lot stronger and can hold up to the weather a lot better, not flop as much. And so you really want to make sure that you're pruning it every late winter / early spring. And then before you get new growth is preferable, but as soon as you see new growth, don't wait any longer. You got to prune this thing, okay? 'Cause otherwise it's going to be a little too late. But how I'm going to do that, the general rule of thumb for Limelight hydrangeas is prune them by 1/3. You can go as much as a half, but I wouldn't do that unless your plant is like fully established. This plant, I think it's its second or third growing season. I'm not gonna prune it by half for sure, but I do want to get rid of any spindly stems, any stems that are crossing. I'm gonna get rid of those completely. I don't have a lot of that going on here. There's a couple, but other than that, you know, I'm gonna basically take this and, you know, factor in, just guesstimating 1/3 of its size, maybe here. And I'm gonna prune it. I'm gonna prune it right here, just above one of the leaf nodes, and then this is gonna go. And so, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, and it's gonna make for a stronger and healthier plant for sure. This one, this is kind of a spindly stem and it's crossing a couple of other stems, so I'm just going to cut that down completely to the base. All right, again, it's kind of hard to see, but this guy looks so much stronger now. No more spindly stems, no more crossing stems. It's just kind of, you know, completely far down. The reason I pruned these guys by this branch was cut in half was because it has this strong branch at the base. I don't want this one to be too long because that definitely creates flopping and all that kind of stuff. This one is weird because the majority of this limelight is right here at the base. Ooh, that was a thorn. Ouch. Okay. But it has a root that goes over here and it has a stem over here, which is so interesting. So this guy on this side was dead. This guy's kind of interesting because it wants to come into the other growth. I don't really want that, which is why I cut it by at least half, but there is that growth down there. I could completely cut that off if I didn't want it there. I'm just gonna let it be as it is. I think that it will be okay, but there we go. And then again, like, we're in the shade, but I promise you, we're gonna take care of that sunshine ligustrum here in the next, I don't know, I wanna take care of it in the next couple days, but it may not get done till next week. It's just, it is what it is. But anyway, there you go. All right, so there's 2 Limelight Hydrangeas that I have pruned. I completely forgot. I have one more Limelight Hydrangea to prune. It's a tree form, already tree formed in my front yard. And so let me take you there and let me show you what I'm gonna do with it. Okay, so here we are in my front yard, and this guy behind me is my tree formed Limelight Hydrangea. I did this myself, and it was my first time ever tree forming a Limelight Hydrangea, or really anything for that matter. So it's not perfect, and that's kind of why I'm doing the second one, because I know a little bit more now, and that second one is actually the most perfect specimen ever, because that branch that I chose was much taller than this one. And I know a couple of things that I'm going to do differently this growing season to give it a better start, to give it better success. But anyway, all that said, this guy's already tree formed, so let me kind of show you what I'm doing here. Okay, so here is what I mean where it's just not absolutely perfect. We've got a trunk that is getting mature. I think this is its 4th or 5th growing season now. It's getting thicker, it's getting more mature, but as you can see, I haven't done the best job in making sure that that is straight up. It just is what it is. It's a little too late at this point, but it still is staked. I really need to get rid of that maybe this year, or at least loosen this twisty tie. So actually, let's do that now. because I don't want, yeah, see how it's already starting to impact the bark, it's coming into the tree. So I don't want that. So we're just going to take that off. That's the first thing we're going to do. The second thing is, I wanted to show you. So here are the branches that I allowed to grow the first year. And then honestly, there was one on this side and one on that side, but it's first growing season. I lost this guy. I think it was a storm. I don't remember. So I only have 3 of the main branches to start this guy. But when you look at it from a distance, you really can't tell. And the more that this guy grows and fills out, like, this isn't going to be something that anybody will be able to tell. So it's really okay. But I know now to protect those a little bit better. I also know to stake them up a little bit higher. So you can see, I wish these would have had a more upright growth as opposed to lateral growth. I didn't stake them really appropriately. So I'm gonna do this differently the second time around. But I'm talking about pruning it now. The one thing is, with standard hydrangeas, you do not want the top to get too top heavy. This is still a trunk that is trying to get stronger, that is trying to support a whole lot of growth. And it did a pretty good job this year. I have, gosh, I'll bet that's like 25 branches. I don't know, maybe not that many. If I sat here and counted, it would probably be close to 20 branches that it was supporting. Not all of them were panicle blooms, but you know, most of these guys were. I've already like cut a lot of them off. And so I want to make sure that I don't get too many more, because every time it forms a new branch, y'all, it has the potential to form 10 more. So you want to make sure that this just doesn't get too much weight, and then the whole thing is going to break at the base. And this is why, you know, tree form limelight hydrangeas are kind of risky, especially if you live in a windy area or an area that's prone to having a lot of storms or something like that. You really can have snapping going on, and then your whole thing is like, it's not ruined because you're still gonna, the limelight will survive. It's just your tree form that you've worked so hard on is gonna be done. So I really am gonna be like paying attention to some of these growths, and I'm going to be picking a lot of these off. This last year I kind of let whatever grow because I wanted to see how it would handle it, and it did well. However, I still don't want a whole lot of growth. And for pruning this, again, I'm going to prune it down at least 1/3. These branches I could probably cut in half. And I think I might do that, to be honest, because I still want these guys to become stronger, and they'll be stronger the shorter they are, if that makes sense, because then it can't have as many branches anyway. So that's actually probably what I'm going to do. And then anything that's crossing like this, it's spindly anyway, but it's crossing with that branch right there, I'm going to take this off. This branch is crossing, I'm going to take that off. These 2 branches are crossing, I'm going to take one of those off. So yeah, and then you can see there's some crossing going on in the middle. So that's exactly my thought process, and that's my plan. So here it goes. Okay, so here is the after. I think it looks great. So I really did cut quite a bit off of this year's branches, but remember, the existing plant is still there. Like, the base of the plant is still there. It's still nice and strong. And the reason that I cut these guys off as much as I did was because I want a nice strong base. I'm still building on this tree form, so I didn't want anything crossing, and I think a lot of that was actually taken care of when I pruned it by half. So, and then I pruned a little bit more on this side than I did on this side because this thing leans just a little bit, and so I'm kind of trying to take, you know, kind of round it out anyway, even though it is the trunk is leaning just a little bit. So I'll let you see it from some other angles, but I think that's going to be really, really, really great. I think it looks awesome, actually, especially from this angle. That looks great. I maybe could trim this guy a little bit more. Now that I'm looking at it from this angle, I probably will take one more node off of that. Just that one that's kind of bugging me. Yeah, for sure. I need to take one more off of that, so hang tight, y'all. Here we go. So right here is where I'm talking about, and I want to cut it just not where the leaf node is, just above the leaf node, right there. Okay, and then that guy is a little bit too tall as well. Let me take that back just a little bit, actually. That could have gotten closer to the leaf node, and now that it is, it looks a little bit better. Now I'm actually thinking this guy one more too. Okay, I won't do any more. Like, you could just keep going and going, right? And then the more you take off, you're like, ah. Anyway, I think that looks great. That looks really awesome. It's all set for brand new growth, and I think that will happen here pretty soon. Even though this next week is going to get a little bit chilly, it's not going to be like super chilly, and we may get 1 or 2 freezes and that's it. But like, the garden is waking up. I'm going to do a video here soon to show you guys all of the things that are happening, but for sure the garden is totally waking up. That's my husband yelling for me. He's walking our dog. Anyway, it's waking up, and I'm going to do a run through video so that you guys can see what is waking up in the garden and what is still sleeping and all that fun stuff. But it's a really fun time. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned something about pruning Limelight hydrangeas or panicle hydrangeas in general. And I hope you all have a great day. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.